Hello. What's up, DGC? Oh, we lost one right as
Oh,
I hit
and
the
he's
button.
gone. Just like
And he's
that.
gone. Poof.
Scared him away.
Yep. Well, JR and I are here. One eye will probably be joining us here in a moment.
Yeah. Hopefully.
What's up, everybody? What's up, chat? Hope you're all doing well.
What up?
We should invite my Discord friends too while we're here.
What up, chat?
Hope everyone's having a nice Friday.
Oh, man.
There he is.
Hey, there we go. I don't know. Some weird stuff just happened.
I just love we hit the go button and then whoop, you're gone. It's like, oh no.
Well, like you hit the go button and all of it's like it asked me, it like popped me out and it asked me to subscribe to StreamYard.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun.
I
Oh,
don't
we got some other person joining us here. Who's this?
I was checking it.
Hello.
What up?
Who's there?
That's Grambo. If you guys can't tell, I am not at home. And there's a Grambo right over there, and there's a Scott right there.
Oh.
What up?
You're doing a happy hour. We just started.
Happy hour in the house from the bakery. What's up?
I think the bigger question is, what are you doing in Colorado?
I had to get warm. It was too cold at my house.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was -8 when I left the morning, and then when I got here, it was like 60 something.
-8 sucks.
Yeah, that's no good. Any luck on getting anything fixed or any news on that?
It's just I gotta wait. I gotta wait for an available tech. So they're very busy right now because it's cold in Maine and there's not many of them left. So it's literally just a waiting game at this point. We have rigged it so it'll work, and we've got some heat, but my office doesn't have heat and my grow room doesn't have heat still. So my feet were getting cold when I worked. They just the space heater just didn't cover it all. So.
Well, you know your house is cold when you're like, oh man, it's December in Colorado. I better go there and warm up.
Yeah, right.
It was almost
No
70
shit.
degrees yesterday
For real.
here in Colorado.
Nice.
So
right on.
been a good trip.
How are you, Grambo? What's new with you?
Sorry, I muted myself there. I was doing really good. Rarely here on a Thursday. Do you want to mute your mic and we'll just use the central mic, Kat? There we go. Now you're in there.
Why is it still doing it?
I don't know. But I'm doing good. It's good to see you, Soup. Good to see you, JR. And I'm actually with Kat. Crazy.
Nice. Yeah, glad you're joining us. Yeah, we're just hanging out this week, man. We got a couple Grow Talk questions to deal with. Got a wheel full of Grow Talk to spin too, man. But first, let's get into some dank nugs. Love me some dank nugs. Let's do it. So first, man, this is some Hella Jelly finishing up. This is day 62. This is from Growrilla over here at realdgc.com. Check this bad boy out. That's looking good. That's looking real good. Hella Jelly, I believe, is from Humboldt Seed Co. Is that right? Anybody know?
Not sure, but I do know that's one of the ones that Frosty McNuggets had in his lineup. And I'm not sure if that's the one he competed with in the hash competition.
Yeah, Hella Jelly is from Humboldt Seed Co. It's a cross between Notorious THC and Very Cherry. Interesting. It says sweet and fruity with dominant notes of strawberry, grape, and blue cotton candy. Very nice. But looking great there, Growrilla. Really frosty. Look at that one too. Wow. Love the colors. Wow. It's my excited weed voice. Sorry. But yeah, looking good though, Growrilla. Love to see it. And yeah, Hella Jelly. Sounds like it's a strain I've heard a lot about this year. Like I said, I was interested to show this one off because it's one that I've heard mentioned quite a bit. But I know Humboldt Seed Company has had some hits lately. They've had some good ones. But let's keep it rolling. Got another one here. This is from E-Rock 420. E-Rock 420 with some Sour Michigan, this one's called. I wonder what that one's from. Sour Michigan. So I should Google that too. Sour Michigan strain. Yeah, looking really good in Frosty here. Love the colors on this one too. Love those black leaves. Really nice in Frosty. And look at this nice one.
Maybe it's a pure Michigan cross. What's the name of it?
Ooh, it's sour diesel crossed with pure Michigan.
That's what I was going to say, folks.
Yeah, that does sound nice. This pungent diesel, sour, earthy gas fuel with hints of lemon, sweet mocha, and spicy nuts. Spicy nuts. What is that? What does that mean?
I'll let you know.
You're gonna get us age gated even worse.
Oh, like JR
Yeah, I
doesn't
know.
know what spicy nuts means, man.
Spicy nuts. Spicy nuts. Nice. I got one more for you here, man. Oh, that was from E-Rock. And yeah, I wanted to say E-Rock had a bunch of good ones. Check out E-Rock 420 over there on Real DGC. He had, I think, some XJ13, just one of my favorite strains. I think he was sharing. But yeah, he had some really nice looking stuff. Yeah, XJ13 getting close to harvest there too. So yeah, go check out E-Rock over there on realdgc.com. He's got some dank looking stuff. XJ13, I believe that's Jack Hare or some kind of Jack Hare crossed with the G13. Is that right? Love that one too. But one more dank nug here from the crew. I got this is Apple Fritter on day 45 from Sen 420. Sen 420. And Apple Fritter's another one that's come up a bunch this year. I feel like lots of people doing the Apple thing.
A lot of
Yeah,
apple
it's a
fritter
lot, isn't it?
crosses. I think that George apple pie I did for a while was apple fritter cross, and apple Sue that I got from Seattle Chronic Seeds is that Harley Sue CBD by Apple Fritter, and that
cool.
should produce some very interesting one-to-ones.
Yeah, very nice. Well, great job, Sen 420. Looking good there. Love the color on this one. He says starting to purple out, almost black. And yeah, I love when you get that nice color there. Also, I loved, got a great comment here from Doja Ridge. He says, I grew it this year. He says, sweet, doughy, and potent, dense buds, stony, but not couch locked. Excellent. Great description. Sounds like a winner.
So, JR, actually, Scotty's got some questions about that stuffed cherry gelato.
Yeah, you guys just were mentioning. What's up, everybody? Happy holidays. Soup.
What up, Scotty?
Love, brother. JR growers love, man. Hey, I just wanted to say real quick, that sour was stuffed cherry gelato you sent me, JR. Is do I have that correct?
Yes.
Does anybody, there's all sorts of different weed and different buzzes out there. I'm pretty immune to, I don't know. I thought I only got high. That is the weed that makes me the dumbest. I mean, the dumbest. There's certain ways you can think on. I've weeds. There's certain strains you'll be like, oh man, me and Kenny smoked that. And then we talked for 2 hours, I had great ideas that we never looked at again. But man, this, I was like, whoa, just dumb. What was I thinking about? What was I saying? And I don't know. I'm not sure if I liked it or not, man.
It's definitely stupefying.
Yeah, that's a characteristic, right? Uplifting, stupefying.
It's the ultimate disassociative. You just check out.
That one was rough, man. Yeah, I was still conscious. I'm just saying dumb shit.
That was one of the ones you smoked with your friend the other day too, wasn't it? That got him really, yeah.
Oh my God, we got this kid so high that we were trying to describe where Costa Rica was, and he was not even close. So we were like, it's between North and South America, and he was just like, what? Right? We got him so high he forgot where the continents were. That's pretty high.
Boca Raton?
We're just like, what? There's a North America? That's good stuff. Good stuff. That's my material, boys. I just wanted to hop in and say hi.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I just got done taking down my room, and I got that Z Pie is probably like my favorite right now. That Z Pie #1.
You're right, man. I was going to ask you about it. I'm sorry, I'm hijacking Soup.
No, go for it.
Take anything back anytime, man. But I just had really nice harvest of everything that JR gave me, which was Gelinade, Z Pie, stuffed cherry gelato, Skittles, and I'm probably forgetting one else. But But man, I really did. The gelato, I'm sorry, what is it? The Gelinade was kind of light, in my opinion. Might have just been me
Yes.
growing it.
Yeah.
But the Z Pie hits hard. Stuffed cherry gelato, it's beautiful. It's my kind of weed because it's showy. But fuck, I don't know if I really want to smoke it all the time, man. It really makes me dumb. Kat, you smoked it with me, no?
Yeah, it was pretty. I liked
does,
it,
man. I mean, it's couch lock weed, definitely.
but
Yeah,
I
it's
am
heavy.
the
It's a
couch rock weed type
nighttime,
of person.
definitely not one you share with your employees.
No. We were talking about that for the Saturday show. Like, do you want people to smoke weed at work?
Very specific
Sometimes.
kinds.
Hey, I
Very
forgot to mention
specific
Depends on the
kinds.
weed. It depends on the
We-
weed, man. I was gonna say I got weed that puts me where I can't talk anymore. I can't form good sentences anymore. My mouth just stops working. It's like it disconnects my brain and my mouth. They're not working together anymore. Yeah. And then I have other weed that it just helps me flow, man. Just helps me get into my groove of things. So I
Yep.
think it depends on the bud. You gotta have the right bud for the right situation, which
And it depends on the worker and the job too.
the job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
because
well.
Yeah,
I
for
had
real.
I used to cook in restaurants and do all kinds of different jobs in restaurants, and there was one cook that literally I saw him get pulled into the office one day, and the manager talked to him and was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Why? And she goes, "You're not stoned."
I know.
And it was like worrisome to the general manager of the restaurant because the head cook was not stoned like he was every other day. So something must be wrong with his life, and he's not going to work well if he's not stoned. So she needed to make sure he needed to go because he wasn't going to function properly if he wasn't stoned.
I knew a guy
Yeah,
that
I work
painted
that
cars,
into all my
you know?
contracts whenever I start labor contracts.
Yeah.
Fucking A. But do you want the guy working? I think that's what we said because it was this picture of this guy doing like a breathalyzer, a weedalizer at work with a hard hat on. And I'm like, I might not want him to be stoned. I don't know. Call me old fashioned, but the guy running the crane, right?
Or the surgeon operating on you.
Oh, just got to get creative. Anyway, boys.
Well, I've definitely jumped behind the wheel of the car and thought I'm probably too stoned to be driving right now. So I can only imagine doing surgery would be an issue.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So don't smoke with your surgeons before
I'm
you
trying
have
to think
surgery.
the last time my brother Trip was too high to drive. I wish I got that high.
I can tell you the time I was with you and you were too high to drive.
No, I might not know where I'm at, all right, but I can still work the pedals and stuff. Grambo, some of that face. Grambo's driving from now on. He's our designated driver.
I hang out with a bunch of drug addicts, so I wish I would.
Not me. Not me. Yeah, my drug is love, man.
Apple's just let the Tesla drive through the mountains. It's just like do the Macaulay Culkin.
But if you have a car that drives itself, and let it drive itself, right? Am I wrong?
Until it tries to switch lanes every 10 minutes.
Who cares? Who cares, man?
A lot
I
of
have fun.
trust.
Stu, your show back
trust.
there.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
Good hanging,
let's
y'all.
yeah, heck yeah. Well, thanks. That was some great dank nugs, man. Let's get into. We're gonna do a seed giveaway a little bit later. I got some Paloma Night and some Spain Lion, blueberries and chem. Blueberries and chem. Spain Lion, our homie who's always at the DGC Cup, man. Shout out to Spain Lion. Yeah, so we'll do that giveaway a little bit later. But first, I want to get in some grow talk, man. I've been craving some grow talk. So first one that comes up, man, JR, you were talking this week about backup batteries. So let's get into that a little bit. Backup batteries. What's up with backup power for your grow? What did you get going on, JR? Tell us about your situation.
Well, I was day 5 into drying. A storm came. My power went out for twice. It went out for about an hour. And the humidity in my room spiked ridiculously. And so it just got me to thinking, like, what could I use as a battery backup system to kind of limp along? And I had acquired a couple of these EcoFlow River 2 Pro backup batteries. And I bought a solar panel for the scenario. Obviously, a panel for each battery would be better. But I just kind of went through some of the scenarios that I could actually maybe get by with to limp along until the power came back on. I think in this case, needing the dehumidifier just by itself, I really didn't need anything else. I didn't need lights. I didn't need anything. I just needed the dehumidifier to continue to work. So, a single piece of equipment like that with a battery backup system and a panel, you can really get by for days if you need to. And in certain situations, I mean, depending on how how far you're willing to go with that, you could back up a light, you could back up fans, and maybe some essential equipment to get you by while you're waiting for the power to turn back on.
Yeah, so they can.
Dehumidifier takes a lot of amps, though, right?
Yeah,
A lot of battery
that is
power.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm his other voice, man.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
so that's
that
why
sounds
you're
really power hungry.
yeah, you have to strategize what you're willing to live without. But at very least, you can get a 200-watt LED light and keep your light cycle going. But things like space heaters, those are very high amp wattage, 1500 watts, 750 watt between there.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to run a space heater on a little battery backup for more
Well,
than an
those little
hour.
battery backups only have certain watt hours, and you don't have enough watt hours in even if you have like one or two of them, that's only got a 700 and something watt hours per battery cycle. And your solar panel isn't going to be strong enough to run it and charge it and run even a light for a full 12 hours on both batteries and be able to charge everything. So you might be able to get a few hours through, but it's not going to be able to get you through 12 hours, and it won't be continuous for over days. And then you got to look at the factor that when you are having those issues and you're having power outages, you're not going to be at the peak solar time. You're going to be at times where it's going to be lower.
Captain Buzzkill over here, man. I think it sounds freaking awesome.
It sounds
Well,
awesome.
there are
but with the equipment,
solutions that you can get.
Rambo's with us, man.
The smaller
Something?
battery units, that's definitely true for, but there are larger stackable units that you could get now that you can wire up through your garage and have a decent backup. It's not cheap, but with the solar, the two batteries that I have and the solar panel charging kind of limitations, it made it seem as though with the two panels and the two systems, I could run a light, a fan, and a controller for the amount of time to prolong a flower period of 12-12.
Yeah,
for about a 2x2 tent with a 100-watt light, you could probably get through 12.
100-watt light. Yeah, you
They
could
said
keep
a
the photo
200
period.
watt light. You could run a 200-watt light in a room, and 200-watt light pegged at the top of a room would keep your photo period going. You know what I mean?
I wanna interrupt and come in with some numbers here. So this is the River 2 Pro I've been showing on the screen here. This is the one JR is talking about. You can see here it says it's 600 or 768 watt hours. So that's kind of going to give you a meter of how much you can run stuff. They also kind of break it down in, let's see, in this picture. A watt hour is
how many watts you use per hour.
Yeah, it's how many watts you can use in an hour. So 1,000 watt hours is running a 1,000-watt light for an hour, basically. I'm oversimplifying there, but
no, that's fucking brilliant, man.
But that battery has 700 and.
Yeah, so we lost your connection there, One Eye, it sounds like, but the River 2 Pro has 768 watt hours of power. So you're looking at being able to run 768 watts for an hour, or if you want to try to break that down. And that's not including the solar panels though. So the solar panels are also going to extend that, but this kind of gives you a breakdown. It says with this, their kind of breakdown from the company, they're saying you could run a 50-watt electric blanket for about 12 hours, according to kind of their rough numbers. So
make that a 50-watt LED.
Idea. Yeah, so 50-watt LED for 12 hours off of this thing, and that's without the solar. So they're also saying if you build the solar, the 200-watt solar panel, they say, according to this picture, can top up the battery in about 4.3 hours. So that's
And that's on a good day.
Yeah, that's under
So-
very ideal conditions. That's under perfect conditions on a perfectly sunny day with no clouds in the sky at the equator with your panel, perfectly perpendicular to the sun and all that important stuff. So there's a lot that goes into solar performance and like how much wattage you're actually going to get out of a solar panel.
Right.
But it's
Just think about the idea, bro, that you're putting solar panels outside enough to collect enough light to run 50 watts of light inside to do a shitty job of simulating the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
That is
But I
irony.
think,
man.
and if you look at that River 2 Pro, that's like, I think it's like a $300 unit. It's not very
Yeah.
expensive. It's a small unit.
Right.
So
That's cool.
they
Cool.
have sizable unit, they go up obviously.
Yeah.
And I think there's scenarios for their larger models that would definitely get you by. And like I said, they are stackable. Other companies, like, you can daisy chain them and
Yeah.
strategize
so-
your usage.
There
To
is
keep the-
definite use of solar. It's just you got to get the right solar equipment.
Right. Yeah, and just to like keep the numbers going here with their breakdown. So the River 2 Pro is $315 just for the battery unit. For the battery unit with a 220-watt solar panel, you're looking at $530. So you could probably buy two of these, and if you ran two of these 530-watt bundles, so you've got the 440 watts worth of solar going with the 1600 about watt hours or 1500 watt hours of battery backup. So that would be enough, in my opinion, to maybe keep a small tent going or keep a small light going. Run a
But that's only got
dehumidifier.
a 5-meter long cord. So you have to have
Yep.
your battery backup near where your solar panels are, or it can't charge while you're using it. And if you put an extension on it, the size cord they use, you will lose 20% of your output from that extension cord of what your solar panel can do. So you're lowering your efficiency. So, and the numbers they give you are on prime days, like middle of the summer when the sun's out. If it's a shitty weather and you've lost power, you're probably not going to have prime solar. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be a downer on all of this. I just literally had a conversation with somebody that
Well, then try to be downer and see if it could be any worse.
I talked to somebody that lives completely off grid, and they run their house off of solar, and they run a grow off a generator. So I've just recently had a conversation with somebody about all this, and I've been getting into homesteading a lot. So looking into solar has been something I've been looking at a lot lately, and it seems very doable. It's also very expensive to do it in a way that's going to actually be beneficial.
Yeah. So when I ran some similar numbers on this, so I've had bad power outages where I live a couple times where we've had power out for like 5 days. So something like this is something I've looked into a couple of times because having something on hand does seem like it could help. I kind of agree though. After running a bunch of numbers on it, the math never quite worked for me. The expense versus the benefit of it. The other thing I'll say though is after looking into it a lot, I did discover my power company will give me a rebate to get one of these basically for free. So I can get between $300 and $500 for free from PG&E to get one of these. So, and then I started thinking about it and I was like, it's a big power outage. I think my grow would be better off having one of these than not having one of these. You know what I mean? It's not going to solve all your problems if the power goes out. It's not going to keep your lights on through a 10-day power outage or something. But wouldn't you
keep a circulation fan on?
Yeah, wouldn't you rather have a little bit of air circulation or 50 watts of light to keep your photo period going, or something to maybe keep the dehumidifier or keep some fans going for a few hours if you have a small problem with the power or something. So I do think it's better to have something than have nothing.
I think also, I mean, if you have
that's awesome.
If you have the expectation of running a production room, that's probably not the realistic. But if you have the expectation of limping along until the power comes back on, some of these solutions are doable.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the other thing I kind of learned when I was researching and kind of thinking about this is, my plants can kind of handle about 2 days, maybe a little more, between 2 and 3 days in the dark without it being a big deal. So I kind of realized, as long as the power outage doesn't last more than like 2-ish days, I'm probably okay. I do start worrying about the humidity spiking and things like that a little bit, but so for me, this sort of a backup is really only usable or really only makes a ton of sense if you're expecting an outage to last more than a couple of days. So anyway,
Well,
I never quite got the math to work on these, but the more I think about it, I'd rather have one than not have one.
In my case, where I was drying,
Mhm.
even if I'm just controlling the exhaust fan to regulate the humidity in there, with a unit, you can run an exhaust fan for quite a while, or efficiently to
Yeah,
limp along.
having something to help you limp along and to give you some options to help you out when you are kind of freaking out when the power's out, super helpful. And also even just to keep yourself sane, man, to be able to connect to the internet, to be able to, charge your phone and shit. Having one of these, I think, even outside the grow is a really good idea.
What did it say?
So
Electric blanket for 12 hours? That's
yeah,
I have two of those. I could be under my electric blanket all day and night.
For 6 hours. Yeah, two of them. The one of the other things that somebody pointed out in the chat here was if you think about this and you've got two of these units, or you're spending even on one of them, that's $500 to $1,000. How much would it cost you to get a generator that could probably do more and be more reliable and be standby ready? And all you've got to do is put more fuel in it, as opposed to waiting for the fuel to come from the sun, and if it's a good day.
Well, I think the argument to that would be is like in our cases, sometimes the fuel just isn't there. Like we had a storm in our little town that made it to where the gas stations didn't get gas delivered for like 3 or 4 days, and people were in lines and lines and lines. But if you're self-sufficient in your solar and you do have enough backup power in your battery stacks, and you got to remember all these prices are coming down. I'm sure this battery that we're looking at that's now $300 something probably used to be $600 or $700.
Yeah, there were for something very equivalent to that. I looked into this about 2 years ago. You guys who've been listening to Happy Hour for a long time may remember my big power outage catastrophe a few years ago. But after that happened, I looked into this, and for something similar, it was about little over $500 for something that's now about $300. So the price on these is coming down. I will say a gas generator, depending on where you live, may be a super viable option too. Where I live, I can't run a gas generator like for more than a couple hours without everybody in my neighborhood coming out with the pitchforks. They're not gonna like it, I can tell you. We did have a power outage, and when everyone was, really hurting, there were people in the neighborhood running generators, but generally speaking, people kind of frown on that where I live. So anyway, depending on where you're at, generators may be a viable option. Depending on your setup, generators may be a viable option. Either way, I think learning to look at those power numbers and learning to understand watt hours and things like that is an important thing to do. A couple more things I wanted to touch on as far as the batteries before we move on. Another lesson I learned while looking at these is that the type of battery you get is very important. There are lots of different types of batteries that use different types of chemicals or different types of arrangements to work properly. These EcoFlow ones that JR was talking about are, they say LiFePO 4. So that stands for lithium, iron, potassium, I believe, or phosphate. So lithium, iron, phosphate. That is a type of battery that is good for this type of use. There's other types of lithium batteries that don't last very long, even if you don't use them. So one of the things that scared me away from buying one of these when I looked into it was there was some really good affordable options, but they also said, oh yeah, they only last for like 5 or so years, whether you use them or not. So you put this battery thing, you spend a couple $100 on it, you put it on the shelf waiting for the power to go out. The power never goes out. This thing you bought is just sitting on the shelf, losing its capability to work, and eventually it's e-waste, you know what I mean? And so you really want to avoid that. So the LiFePO batteries are supposed to be able to last about 10 years, whether you use them or not. So even if you use them pretty frequently, I think they're supposed to last a real long time. So that was just something I wanted to mention is if you are looking into battery backup stuff, really think about the longevity of the batteries. You want something that's gonna, if you're gonna invest, a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s into something like this, you want it to be something that's gonna last you, right? Don't buy something that's just gonna end up being trash in a few years. So yeah, something to think about there. Make sure you go for those
And I
LiFePO batteries.
Also, kind of bringing up that point is it is something to keep an eye on because we are at a unique time in history where technology is being developed as the price is going down. A lot of times, as these new technologies and new things are being developed and put out in the world, they're extremely, extremely expensive and get more expensive. Where we're seeing the opposite, and that's even with robotics. The technology in robotics is getting better and better and better as the price is going down, and that usually doesn't happen in industry. So it's definitely I think it's an awesome thing to kind of keep an eye out on, and it might be more affordable here in the future than that it makes sense to do. Just even like I said, just as a limp along solution where you're kind of sovereign, or even like if you're just trying to run pumps, just a few pumps to get things by until the lights come back on, it might be something worth looking into.
Yeah, and one more thing to mention here too is, like I mentioned earlier, my power company PG&E will basically buy one of those for me. So if you're a PG&E customer and you live in a high fire area or an area affected by the power shutoffs that happened a few years ago, like I am, there or up to a $500 rebate actually for purchasing battery backup systems. So depending on where you live, depending on your power company, you may want to look into that, because if you can get one of these for free and it'll help you keep your grow nice when the power goes out, why the hell not, man? So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting one of these very soon.
PG&E, man. Didn't
Nice to have
Aaron
one.
Brockovich sue them? What the hell?
Oh man, PG&E has been sued by all kinds of people. They've blown up more than one city. PG&E's not.
That was the
not
famous. Yeah, that's a good movie. Y'all should revisit that. All right.
That's I remember that movie.
Empowering AF. Okay.
Wasn't that Julia Roberts?
So?
I don't know. I'm just not saying bad things. Younger Julia Roberts.
Well, yeah, let's keep it rolling, man. That was some good battery backup talk. It's something to look into, but to do the math, make sure it makes sense for your situation, and make sure you're getting batteries that make sense for you in the long term. Don't waste your money on something silly. One more little grow talk topic I wanted to ask you guys about and get a little feedback from the crew about is something from my grow, man. So I think I told you guys recently, I've been doing some liquid nutrients in my grow. I know that's not usually what I'm like known for or whatever, but yeah, I've been playing with some liquid fertilizer.
Are you feeling okay, Soup?
Yeah, no. So what happened was I actually got a really good deal. I stumbled across a great deal on some BioBiz. And I always liked BioBiz. I always like BioBiz and BioCana, which is another similar.
It's bio, nutrient. So that makes sense. It's not like a salt-based nutrient you're using.
I haven't totally. I'm not using some GH3 part or something. but I wanted to ask you guys. So now that I'm
you could if you wanted to, and we wouldn't judge you.
No, we wouldn't. We listen and we don't judge.
I know. No, but it's been interesting for me, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to switch back and do a little bit of bottle nutrient growing also is because I spend a ton of time talking with people in the crew who grow that way. You know what I mean? So I spend a lot of time answering emails from new growers and talking with other people who grow with all kinds of different systems. So I like to keep it all kind of fresh in my head if I can. I try to be a well-rounded grower, so I'm able to answer questions and help people who are using all different types of methods. So one thing that came up for me using these bottle nutrients again is I was like, man, what is the easiest way to like measure and store? And you got your bucket of water, you got your hand watering pitcher, whatever you're doing for watering, you got this big 5-gallon jug or whatever full of nutrients. How are you measuring? How are you using little spoons? You got a little syringe or something? What do you guys use? What's the convenient? Talk to me about how do I make my hand watering nice and smooth and easy? Give me some tips.
What I do is when you unscrew the cap, there's still that kind of white foil thing that's still on. I'll make a smaller hole at the bottom and another hole just above that so that it can breathe. So that when I'm pouring out, I'm not pouring out this massive amount of liquid at one time. I can really dial in the amount that comes out of the bottle. And that's on a 1-gallon bottle, not a 5-gallon bottle.
Yeah, 5
And,
gallons is big.
and so then I just measure into like one of those like 200-300 mil measuring cups, and it's pretty simple. If I was on a 5 gallon, they
Get a
make the
pump.
hand. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
get
make
the
the
hand
hand.
pump.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're spending that much money on a bottle of nutrients, spend the $10-12 on a pump.
A good one too, because the quality, I mean, don't just go by what the picture looks like on Amazon. This
Yeah.
is something you may actually want to go into a shop and purchase so that you can actually physically hold the quality of the pump in your hand.
Yeah, or if you're looking for one online, if that's your only option, look for name brands like Hydrologic or Hydrofarm, the ones that are known to be, actually
Quality.
used for what we're using them for.
Absolutely.
But I've always used syringes or pipettes, depending on the size. If I'm just
Mhm.
doing like, a few plants and I'm only doing up to like, 5 gallons and I only need like a few up to 10 milliliters, I'll use syringes or pipettes. But if it gets larger than that, I will go with little measuring cups of milliliters.
Right on. I've been using something kind of like this. Little syringe without a needle, basically, and it's got little measurements on the side, so I can scoop up just the right amount I'm looking for. That's been working pretty well. That seems like a decent solution.
I've done
Um,
that, and I've used the little extension tube so that you could get down in there and
Yep.
draw up exactly what you need. That is
Um,
viable.
And you can get the larger sizes if you want. If you have like a Tractor Supply around, they will sell large size syringes. So if you do need a larger size, more than like 10, 20 milliliters, whatever you can get, or have to order them offline, you can get these large 60 or sometimes even larger right in your hometown if you have a Tractor Supply.
Well, I
I
was
have
having a hard
seen. Yeah, go
I was
ahead.
having a hard time getting because I mix all the DIT in one batch, and I was trying to draw it out and then accurately put it into each container without, making a mess or
Yeah.
overflowing, and so I found the DIT to be a little too thick for that application, but it also works for thinner solutions like
And-
nutrients.
What are you trying to invaginate here, Soup?
Oh, I found here. This is the Newt needle, the nutrient needle from someone. Inside Hydro.
I've seen this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is an actual.
I've seen somebody talking about it on Discord before.
Yeah, it looks like an interesting product. I don't know if it's something everybody needs, but I like the convenience factor of it. Also was looking, I like these little metal tips it comes with, getting down to the bottom of the bottle or whatever, right?
Does it come
but you
with
got
a
to be using
cleaning?
gallon and these are for like gallon and 2.5 and 5 gallon containers, I believe.
Does it
Yeah,
come with a cleaning brush, like a straw brush?
No, you got to
Yeah,
use your
probably
tongue.
would need one, wouldn't you?
Use your wiener, son.
Yeah, well, and with this thing that I've been using, it works really good because I really like you can just pull it apart, right? The end just comes out, so you just pull it apart. You can rinse it out real quick, blast some clean water through it, put it away. So this has worked really well for me for small amounts. I also have some like metal tablespoons and things like that. But yeah, that's some good feedback. Yeah, just curious. Trying to get my system refined, and now that I'm switching things up a little bit, using some different methods and some different inputs. I will say it has been an adjustment getting used to having to like mix up nutrients every time I water. That's not something I'm used to. I'm used to going out there with my bucket full of water in my plants, So having to mix up fertilizer and do some measuring, play potion master, as I like to say, that was been an adjustment getting used to being the potion guy again. But it can be fun, I don't hate on it. It's not really my like favorite thing to do. I know some people really like punching over their bucket with their fish amino acids and their
so the measuring for some people, the process of that is the ritual and what they enjoy. But like it depends on how much nutrients you've got to put in with a syringe. If you've got to do like 15 different bottles, it can be a pain if you've got to suck up through the syringe and if you have hand conditions or arthritis. So it's all what works best for each grower. And I always found if I've got to do more, like a larger amount, the little like shot glass measuring cups. is really good because you can get them with all kinds of different measurements on them, and a little creeper over your shoulder. And
hey, I gotta tell you, that's a quality thing too, because I've bought those cheap
quality creeper.
measuring shot glasses, and the paint just washes off like in 2 washes, and then you just, so quality in, quality in, quality out for sure.
Yeah, don't buy them at the dollar store. Dollar
Don't
Tree's
buy them
not
at
the
the
place to
dollar
get 'em.
store. You'll
Yeah.
get tricked.
You will.
Get tricked.
Yep. No, I will say I was doing some Christmas shopping recently, and we have like a huge 3-story fancy pants kitchen store in my town. And I was down there looking at all their cool measuring stuff, and I kept seeing stuff. It's like, oh, that'd be perfect for the grow. And then I went to the tea section with all the strainers. I was like, ooh, these would be great for making edibles. It's like, oh man. So I'm gonna have to make a trip back to that kitchen store for some edible making and grow supplies.
If you get anything, try to get as much silicone so it washes off easily.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Whatever you get something that's easy to clean, because you want to keep your nutrient tools clean. You don't want your like gross, grody spoons or nasty nutrient needle contaminating other things or whatever. And also
another
be
reason I've been
careful
using
these
syringes.
tools. Yeah, go ahead.
But another reason I've been using these syringes is because Canna was giving them out at the DGC Cup, and I brought home like 50 of them. And
That's
so
a great reason.
Yeah. So I have them, and you can sometimes, if you have like a pharmacy in your grocery store, they sometimes will have them, just these types of syringes sitting out, where you can get your blood pressure taken or like your flu shot. They might just have a little container of them sitting out. You can take a few. So
I think
look
my little
around for
syringes
freebies.
came from the dentist. I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I think I got mine. It was supposed to be for like cleaning out some sort of tooth thing, or so they had a little squirt thing for squirting your teeth. I don't know. But
When
yeah,
I run
anyway,
out of
look for
syringes for
things.
RSO, I buy them at Tractor Supply. Then I have to warn people. That's why it says for veterinarian use only. So they're completely sterile. They're just from Tractor Supply, so they're for pets.
I usually go down to the riverbank and I just recycle the ones that are just kind of sitting on the riverbank.
Oh, those are the pre-flavored ones are the best. Yeah.
Yeah, pre-filled
And
sometimes.
you'd go right down to Portland, wouldn't you? You'd skip right down to Portland, and they
Hey,
were just
yeah. And speaking of
everywhere.
Portland, do not swim in the river, folks. We've had major sewer overflows. There is poop in the
JR
water.
peed in it. JR so peed in it.
Gross. All right, I'm taking this to the wheel. That's enough nutrient convenience talk. But I want to talk to you guys more in the future sometime about more convenience tips. So if you guys got good convenience tips for me, hit me up.
Anything you can do
life
to
easy.
like any step you can make easier gives you the ability to do an extra step or more time in your grow to look at your plants and figure out
And you
what.
strategize the things you want to do and you don't want to do based on your physical activity. Like for me, I could use other forms of watering than hand watering, but hand watering is my cannabis yoga. I get down, I reach over, I hold the position. You know what I mean? So you can pick and choose your tasks based on the kind of physical output you're wanting to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And that is one of the reasons why I think I was straight away from the bottled nutrients for a while, was because I don't really enjoy that time hunched over the bucket. You know, I'd rather spend that time doing some pruning or, you know, doing some other things. So, but anyway, it's good to change things up. I'm enjoying the change of pace right now, doing a little watering with nutrients. And it's
well, what medium are you in, and are you pHing your solution when you're done?
I am not pHing because I'm lazy, and I'm
have
using
you though
King's
to know what it's know what your batches are going in at?
I know my water is pretty close to neutral pH.
So what you're saying is no.
So no, no, I haven't.
All right, just curious.
Yeah, no. I probably should check my pH and actually do some monitoring of that, but no, I haven't been. And I mean, the other thing too is I'm using King's Mix right now, which is like mostly cocoa with some perlite, a little bit of nutrients in there, but mostly cocoa. I think I am going to be doing a top dress as I go into flower. I was thinking about that. I've got some nice compost and some amendments and things. So I think I am going to be doing a top dress and doing kind of light liquid nutrients throughout. Flower is, I think, sort of the plan.
That brings up something I wanted to kind of talk to both of you about down at the shop. A lot of the living soil guys are kind of coming under the assumption, or not the assumption, the realization that pumice fine and pumice medium is really killing the oxygenation of the living soil. Especially because a lot of them are using worm casting, kind of as a compost alternative. And so the guys down there now have chunk cocoa. I don't know what quarter minus or whatever half minus size it is. But they're saying that these chunks of cocoa could be used as a replacement for your pumice or perlite for aeration. And I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts on that are.
So we sell that with drug dealers. We sell cocoa, the chip cocoa product, and I've actually used it. Amazing. It works like perlite. It works like pumice. It's aeration, but it doesn't hurt your CEC. It's like I think it's the new movement in cocoa chips.
Well, I thought it would be great home for the better home for the microbes. But my worry is its effect on your soil pH. That's the only thing I was really worried about.
I'd say skip it and go with biochar.
I don't have any.
You could amend it with biochar as well. It's a different sort of thing.
I don't have any, by the way.
The cocoa chunks
I would.
aeration sort of stuff, not as much for housing.
And they sell that cocoa chunk bulk. Like I could get it really cheap.
My concern with the cocoa chunk for like living soil use is that I don't really like cocoa for living soil use just in general anyway, or not a lot of cocoa. It breaks down over time. It also behaves differently as far as the calcium intake, is how it interacts with the calcium in
you can use different minerals with it.
Yeah, if you're doing if you're doing a living soil that's heavily cocoa based, you're going to want to tweak your recipe as far as how much like gypsum and things like that you're putting in.
I actually think Build the Soil has a blend that is for cocoa, making things with cocoa.
They do. So that would be something to think about. The other thing there is like the other reason that I like using pumice in my living soil is because pumice lasts basically forever. Pumice doesn't break down over time. Even if you put some weight on it, even if you try to squish it with your fingers, it's not easy to squish. Pumice, whereas like perlite, you can just smash it and it turns into dust. And when that dust gets wet, it turns into concrete basically. So perlite, I don't really like because it breaks down fairly quickly. Pumice, I like because it lasts a real good long time and doesn't break down. Cocoa, I think, is going to be kind of somewhere in the middle where I think those cocoa chips are going to break a while. But if you're planning on using your soil for, years, that's probably not the direction you want to go, I'm thinking. Because that means you'll start off with a bunch of aeration, but over time you'll get less and less aeration, which means you'll get soil compacting, which can be a problem in living soil. So I'm not sure would be my pick for living soil. I agree with what Grambo was saying though, about like if you're growing in cocoa chips sound awesome. Like cocoa chips sound like the way to go. Mixing some cocoa chips in with your cocoa coir. I could never say that cocoa coir.
Some people say core. I don't know.
Coir. I never knew. I don't know. I just call it cocoa. But yeah, I think mixing some chunks in with that sounds good. But what were they saying the downside of pumice was again? I missed that part of it.
The fine pumice, especially, they cut out because
don't use fine pumice.
It was, and even the medium with the worm castings was like decreasing the oxygenation in the soil, so they weren't getting as much air down or oxygen down into the root zone.
Compared to what? Compared to the cocoa? Is that what they're saying? I guess.
Compared to like in the past when they used rice hulls and other aeration alternatives.
So
because they wanted to get away from rice hulls because of the arsenic. And so they're looking for these alternatives. And here in the Northwest, we're right close to a lot of volcanic shit. So pumice comes right out of the Washington State, which I'm assuming is from Mount St. Helens. And it's really readily available. So I think they were looking also for a local solution to replace the rice hulls. And
Mhm.
I just don't think, and their recommendations in the beginning was fine and medium. My last run, I did medium only, and I feel like it was better as far as like yield goes. I think when it was choked down with the finer pumice, I wasn't getting the kind of explosive growth
Yeah, I
because of the
don't like
lack
the
of
fine.
oxygen.
Yeah, I don't like the real fine pumice. I've never liked that for anything. I recommend against the real fine pumice, but the medium size or like the slightly bigger pumice, I've always really liked. I do think the best performance wise for living soil I found with aeration was mixing rice hulls with like about 50-50 rice hulls and pumice for my aeration part of the mix. But now that we are running into that concern with the arsenic with the rice hulls, that's something I don't know how big of a concern that really is. That's something I'm still trying to learn a little more about. Like I know
Jeremy on
there
Build a
was
Soil's done a lot of testing and done a lot of
well, but
education pieces on that. And
my
I mean, that's
question
coming from
though,
that source. So,
yeah,
I
well,
mean,
and I
take it for
trust,
what it is.
yeah, I trust Jeremy's word on that sort of thing. But I guess my wonder is the concern there coming from the commercial growers who are failing tests for arsenic, or is it an actual health concern where home growers need to be worried about it? Because my original understanding of it, and this might be wrong, was that it's not the arsenic in rice hulls isn't enough to really be a thing that home growers need to be worried about for their health, but it was a thing that was causing people to fail tests in certain states that were regulating things like heavy metals in soil and things like that. So I was really curious, and I would love to ask Jeremy, like, how much is this a regulatory thing versus how much is this a human health thing? If
Well,
I
I
need to
think
cut out
Scotty always
rice
brings
hulls for
up,
my own health, let's do it. If I'm cutting it out for testing purposes, I don't care.
doesn't Scotty always say the poison is in the dose?
Yeah. So in that, and I think that was part of the concern, was that there was a lot of states that had really strict testing standards as far as living soil was working. And so there were a few people in, I forget what state it was. I want to say Oklahoma, maybe, but that doesn't sound right. Somewhere was having issues with bud failing. It might have been New Mexico, actually, was having issues with like bud failing tests. It was living soil grown, and everyone was like, "It's not supposed to be the best" or whatever. But then people were failing tests with it, and so I think Jeremy was kind of reacting to that. So I would love to ask Jeremy, and if anybody gets a chance to, please ask him: is the arsenic in rice hulls, is that a human health concern or is that a passing testing concern? But so that would be my go-to. Is I always did half rice hulls, half pumice. I do want to learn more about the health risks or whatever associated with rice hulls, but I'm about doing like half pumice and half cocoa chips. I could see something like that working, because I guess I would be hesitant making a living soil and using cocoa chips as my sole source of aeration, because I know they're going to break down over time. They'll take a while to break down, but somewhere a year or two down the line, those chips are going to break down. That soil's going to go whoop as it compacts, and it's not going to be good. So that's my concern. But maybe half chips, half pumice. I don't know.
Well, that's a valid concern. I think over time, for sure. But
Well, and if you have worms and your bed is got, inoculated and you're actually running a living soil, like you're not going to have to worry about that as much as if you're just making like a reusable pot. Like if you have a full ecosystem, it's not going to be as much as a problem as if you're just trying to run organic soil.
Yeah. I mean, I will say you do end up having compaction problems from running worms too, but that's actually on the wheel, which we'll talk about here in a second.
But that's usually because your bed becomes a bed of castings instead of a bed of soil.
Correct. But yeah, speaking of which, man, I think we got time for one good spin here. So let's give it a spin. We got some new things on the wheel. I'm going to give it a spin. And then don't let me forget, we got some seeds we got to give away too. I didn't forget.
Da-da-da-da.
But let's.
Well, we almost had 2 sets of seeds to give away.
Almost. Laying on air movement. Man, this is another thing that's been on my mind in my grow a bit lately. Air movement is so important in your grow, both in terms of getting the environment right and in limiting microclimates, but also for the effects it has on your plants, right? Getting nice, strong stems, nice, even growth. getting your plants dancing, as I always like to say, getting a little wiggle, a little bit of wiggle in the plants. Not a lot of wiggle, just a little bit of wiggle. They really do benefit from it. And I was looking around in my grow right now, and man, it is tough to get good airflow in there. My room is basically shaped like a hallway. So if you can imagine,
You got to turn it into a wind tunnel then.
Yeah, well, but then you end up with a really directional wind flow, which can create some other weird problems too. If you have all the wind kind of blowing from the left of the grow to the right of the grow, all your plants start looking. they're all.
Well, what about doing it so like it goes like one side of the room blows one way, one side of the room blows the other way, and then you get like a cyclone effect.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I've got on each end of the room, I've got those AC Infinity, the big metal, like really high quality, non-oscillating though, but the big honking fans. I forget what they call those. I've got one of those at each end of the room, and they're kind of offset a little bit, so it creates a little bit of like a cyclone effect in the middle of the room. But I was thinking, man, I think I need more. I think I need some sort of and the room's too narrow to comfortably put like wall mounted fans in there, because I'll just be whacking my head on them all the time. I was trying to figure out like what the heck to do. So I have a few like standing fans that I can kind of move around, and those have been kind of a solution. But yeah, any thoughts on air?
Well, one thing I also want to bring up is, when is it a good time to have your plants moving, and when is it a good time to have your plants still? When you're, according to the great Jay Maestro, when you're in flower, you don't want your plants moving around a lot. They're there to soak up photon power, and the stiller they are under the light, the more they can absorb. And so having a lot of movement in your flower room can inhibit the potential for energy. In veg, it's the opposite. You want that kind of aggressive fannery to strengthen your stems and strengthen your plant and get it ready for battle when it goes into the intense conditions of your flower room.
Yeah, like I do think I like a little air movement in flower though. Like I want to have my maybe not plants dancing quite as much, right? And I don't want
the air
buds
moving, but not the plants moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Whereas in veg, I think I do want my plants maybe moving a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, you do. You
I
want
like
them
that.
boogieing.
That's a better way to, I'm more comfortable with that way of putting it. Yeah. Because like I said, I like a little boogie in my plants and veg for sure. I do think that really strengthens up your stems. And maybe early flower as well. Early flower when you're starting to stack, when you're gonna stretch, when the plant's really starting to put on that growth, that's a good time to be kind of strengthening those stems with a little bit of air movement. But yeah, I think that's good advice not to go too crazy when you're in flower. But yeah, someone in the chat mentioned ceiling fans. I wish I could put a ceiling fan in my room, but then I'd have to figure out how to hang the lights. But I thought about that.
What about like under canopy lights? Well, you have bigger pots, but could you get them close to the plants up underneath, blowing through them?
Yeah, I do like a fan real low down. I used to call them Honeywells because that's the brand.
Yeah, just do a bunch of those Honeywells all around the outside.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The Honeywell,
one across the top.
Honeywell fan. So I used to love these are like $15 at Walmart. Look at that. Here you go. The Honeywell. These are pretty cool. I used to love these. I still have 2 or 3 of them. I think I need to replace them though. They're all beat up, but
yeah, I had a bunch of those, but they're gone.
Yeah,
they lived their good life and they moved on to another trash heap.
Yeah, unfortunately, they do have a limited life to them. And I would love to find something like this that oscillates and is maybe a little bit more durable. I'd pay maybe a little bit more. These are only $15. Somebody making a slightly nicer one. AC Infinity makes some pretty decent small oscillating fans. So I thought about maybe trying to incorporate those into the grow somewhere, or maybe put those on like a pole mount or something so I could move them around. I actually really like the idea of having flexible fans, like having some little fans like this that can go on the floor that you can move around throughout your grow, or when you rearrange your grow, or when you're setting things up in a different way, having fans you can move, or a fan you can move into the bedroom when you need it, or having little fans like that are really helpful, I think. I also like just having some floor like standing fans. So something like that can be like a really good option too, just like a little oscillating thing like this, just with legs. They do take up room, so this isn't something you're going to use like in your grow tent, obviously. But if you've got a room like I do, this is nice because you can scooch it around, you can push it out of the way when it's in the way. So I'm considering maybe picking up another like nicer thing like this. But yeah, just checking out different options right now because I do feel like I could improve on my airflow. And the standard like wall mount oscillating fan that I feel like everybody bought for years just kind of won't really work in my room because, like I said, the only place I have to mount them is the place I like to walk. So I don't feel like that would be a good fit for my room because I'm going to be literally just bonking into them all day long when I'm trying to work in my room. So
and when you're talking about fans, you also are talking about air exchanges. If you're not in a sealed room, you need to be calculating your air exchanges in your environment to stay in a healthy range, because that also affects the way a plant releases its moisture and precipitates, which affects how much it brings up through its root zone. So all of that kind of stuff is something you can calculate. Most of the fan companies, I'm sure AC Infinity has ways for you to get all that figured out.
If they don't, they'll invent one.
Yeah, they're working on it. I know they had a bit of a time coming up with their little fans. Little fans are notoriously hard to make because getting one that can be reliable, getting one that can, be tough,
reliable.
Well, and keeping
most
the price
importantly,
down.
getting one that can be reliable.
Well, and
I
getting
don't know.
one
I
that can
haven't
be
had any of
reliable
my AC
without
Infinity
costing a ton
small
of
fans
money.
break yet.
That's because they're reliable.
Yeah.
They're good. Well, so they, like I said,
Well,
they had,
and I clean them.
they did a cool thing where they came out with the first edition of them. They put them out. There were some kind of problems with them. They weren't quite as reliable as people wanted. There were some of them that were breaking. The gears were a little bit wimpy on that first edition of them. And AC Infinity said, hey, you know what? We kind of dropped the ball on those. We could have done a lot better. So you know what? If you bought one of those, hit us up and we'll send you a new one. And guess what? We improved them. So I thought that was awesome. I actually was able to get one of the new and improved ones. So I have one of the old ones and I have one of the new ones. And it's a big difference. They did really improve it. They took steps to make it more reliable. So that was one of the reasons why I like to give AC Infinity that thumbs up, is because they really do a good job listening to feedback and improving things when things need to be improved.
They crowdsource their tech. So like I got their humidifier, had a 2-year warranty on it. I went through 5 different iterations of it with them. And like you said, every time there was a failure or an issue, they would fix that in the newer editions. And then it got to the point where at the end, it was rocking. I mean, it did everything I needed to do, and it still does. So they do kind of crowdsource their tech. I think what better feedback can you have than people out in the streets trying to use their product under probably the most ideal conditions always,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got so many different aspects with different, like all the different size tents, and there are people using other equipment that's not even used in their tents. So they got a lot of testing.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the fact that they offered to replace the first round fans for anybody who had one of them. I thought that was just above and beyond. Like that probably cost them a shit ton of money to do that.
Oh yeah.
They totally did not have to do that at all. They could have just said, sorry,
Yeah, in the
we'll
5 years or in the 2 years and 5 iterations, I can guarantee the amount of money they paid in shipping was more than what they made off the unit when they originally sold it to me. But it's about integrity and it's about product integrity. And in the industry where people talk, I think that is important.
Yeah. So good to see them improving. But yeah, all kinds of different options for air movement. I think looking at different things is smart. Having lots of different options in your grow is also smart, especially when you start to have like a larger grow, or when you get to the point where you got a couple different tents or a couple different rooms or a couple different things. At that point, it's good to have a big pile of fans. Like I said, I've got a couple extra of these floor fan type fans I can move around. I think I still have 1 or 2 of those Honeywells if I need one. But yeah, having lots of different airflow options is, I think, really good because, like you were saying, different phases of the grow need different things. I really like air movement on my young seedlings. You know, when you got young plants in there, they're just starting to form their stems and starting to decide, should I grow a big beefy stem or a little whippy stem? You know, push it towards the big, push it towards the beef, man. Give it a little air movement and get that thing excited to grow. But yeah, any other thoughts on air movement before we wrap it up here?
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. Keep them
Keep it
dancing,
moving,
especially in
moving.
veg. Yeah,
You've got to move it.
Yeah. And I like that. I think that's a good suggestion to do. Keep the whirlpool effect going with kind of fans on opposite ends of my room, kind of offset a little bit. And then, I think maybe supplementing that with some of those smaller fans that I can move around might be the ticket. Yeah, I appreciate it. I like getting your guys' feedback. It's been one of those times in my grow lately where I'm making a bunch of changes, and it's really nice to have people to bounce those ideas off of, because I spend most of my time just in my own head thinking about my own grow without getting any, insight from other people. So I appreciate you guys letting me bounce my thoughts off of you, both on the nutrients and on the fans today.
Same on the cocoa, because I think I am going to do the medium pumice and the cocoa chunks test that out and just see how that goes.
Yeah, let me know. I'd be really interested in that because I do think I want to learn more about what's going on with rice hulls too. I want to talk to someone who knows what they're doing and get some more answers about, should we really not use rice hulls anymore? Should rice hulls be considered a, something we avoid, or is that acceptable? It'd be good to know. And the cocoa chips, like I said, especially if you're growing in something like cocoa, like they would be great in my current setup with the King's mix. So put some cocoa chips in there with the King's mix. I bet that'd be balling. But anywho, let's give some dang seeds away. Where's my seed giveaway thing? Give these dang beans away. I think this week we're doing, let's do a Palomonite plus a bonus pack from Spain Lion. I want to give some more of these Spain Lion seeds away because he was cool and hooked us up at the cup. So I want to make sure we get these out to the crew. This is the Blueberries and Chem, which is Blueberry Bacchio crossed with Chem Cat. And it's a 6-pack of regular seeds. And I'm also going to throw in the Palomonite, 10-pack of Femini seeds. And 7th place winner in the DGC Cup. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, just saying.
Crowd favorite. Just saying. So let's do hashtag. What do we got today?
Dang seeds.
Hashtag dank beans. Dank beans. Hashtag dank beans. There we go. Let's put it up there. Hashtag dank beans in the chat there. Yeah, give me a hashtag dank beans. There we go. They're working. It's coming in. All right. So if you're live with us here in the chat, if you are in America, you got to be in America, unfortunately, because I can't ship over the borders right now. But if you are in America, go on over there, hit that. Give me a hashtag dank beans. I was going to say hit that button, but there's no button. Hit that hashtag dank beans in the chat. I got 57 entries. Yeah, type your own buttons. You got buttons. They're on your device, that thing you're looking at us on. Hit those buttons and spell out dank beans, and you'll maybe get some dank beans.
Maybe.
Oh, and I also wanted to just throw out there too, thanks for everybody who ordered seeds recently. Had a good couple of weeks there during Black Friday and just people getting ready for Christmas. I think I just want to say I appreciate you guys picking up some packs, man. It's been cool. Been shipping them out, baby. Good getting those beans out to the people. Good stuff.
Well, I might as well use the opportunity to thank everyone who's been ordering the mullen and the lion's mane. I think the Dit's Amazing is kind of a easy thing to wrap your head around, but getting behind the mullen and especially the lion's mane, sometimes that's hard for people to understand what the benefit of that really is going to mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool you got that going, and I love seeing you coming up with new products too, like your decongestant ginger honey product thing. That's really cool.
It's actually another good one. It's seasonal on the site, and it's a ferment of local raw honey lemon, ginger, and garlic. And the three
Did
of
you grow the
those,
ginger and garlic though, or is that coming next
actually,
year?
my daughter-in-law was part of a farm group at the community college, and they harvest.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
the end of the year harvest for them.
Oh, cool.
And she
Nice.
had donated all of the ginger to me, and all the garlic came from her dad's farm. So these are all local good ingredients.
Nice.
Oh, we got a question in the chat from the Maestro. Jay Maestro's asking. He says, "Thanks for sending the Mullen tincture, JR. How is it best used?"
Good thing you brought that up. The Mullen tincture and all of these tinctures are alcohol-based tinctures as of right now, and it takes between 3 to 4 milliliters per dose. If for the Mullen, if you're just doing daily respiratory health, you'll do that 3 to 4 milliliters in the morning with a juice or whatever you drink in the morning, tea, coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
And then if you are sick or if you have allergies, you can combine that with the cough syrup that I have, and you can do that 3 times a day until you feel better. My recommendations with Mullen is also when you first get it, within 24 hours, you're going to notice a respiratory difference. And then within
You do.
4 to 5 days, you're going to kind of get about, about kind of a ceiling level on help, depending on how damaged your lungs are. And so after that 5 days, kind of give it a rest and just use it as you need it. However,
Okay.
if you are a daily allergy sufferer, which is my case, when I get up in the morning, I'll do the Mullen, I'll do fresh lemon and honey in a shot glass, and that's my morning allergy medicines for like spring and summer. But
I tried
combining
some
it,
of your Mullen at the cup, and I did not know it was alcohol based. And I just took a big old dropper and put it on my tongue and made like the shot face, like.
yeah, it's fire. It's fire. And so that also is a trigger for folks who are in recovery and stuff. And that's been a topic that I've been addressing. And so I acquired some vegetable glycerin. And so
Nice.
I'm going to be making the
Mhm.
Mullen in either an alcohol tincture form or a glycerin form, vegetable glycerin form, to kind of address that issue. However, with lion's mane, it's a dual extraction. So you're doing part of it with an alcohol. It's pulling out chemistry, but then you also simmer the biomass because it's pulling out chemistry with the water as a solvent. And so then you combine those both together. So doing that with just a vegetable glycerin only form is something I have to look into, because the Mullen, no problem. It's easily going to transfer. And I have seen you can buy lion's mane tincture that is a vegetable glycerin base, but I don't know the science yet. So I got to get my head wrapped around that, because if alcohol is a trigger for people in recovery, I don't want that to be an obstacle for
Yeah.
them benefiting from, because these products I put together are for stoner health. The lion's
Yep.
mane for your cognitive brain health. The
Yeah.
Mullen is for your lung health. And the DITS is for your pain and aches, which is usually the reason you gravitate towards cannabis a lot of times anyways. So I just kind of put that package of stuff together to kind of aid the stoner journey.
Nice. Yeah, no, if you can come up with alternatives for people who don't want alcohol or can't have alcohol for whatever reason, that's awesome. Get the more options for the people. It's good stuff. But yeah, we got 102 entries. This is your last chance to hit that hashtag DankBeans in the chat to enter to win today's giveaway. This is your last chance, so hit that button before I hit this button and pick a winner. I'm gonna hit it. Last chance. Oh, last one. Okay, I'm hitting it. It's happening. And the winner is.
Who is it today?
It's Peaceman.
Peaceman
Peaceman
Grows.
grows.
Da-da-da.
Peaceman
Nice.
grows. Heck yeah. Congratulations to Peaceman Grows. Peaceman Grows, hit me up, soupthegardener@gmail.com. Get in touch with me. That's the best way to get in touch with me. I've had some problems with my messages on Real DGC. So if you were, or if any of you were trying to contact me there, soupthegardener@gmail.com is always a good, reliable way to get in touch with me if you need to. But yeah, Peaceman, congratulations. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you to all of you for hanging out with us every Friday. We appreciate you coming and chilling. I know you got a lot of fun things you could be doing on your Friday afternoon. I appreciate you coming and hanging and spending part of it with us, man. But yeah,
Thanks
that's
for
all I
joining
got
us,
for you.
Grambo.
Yeah, thanks for
Grambo,
joining us,
Scotty,
Grambo.
One
Yes.
Eye hitting us up from the road there. I appreciate you guys dialing in.
And shout out to the 200. We hit 200 DGC watching this. That is amazing. We see you guys. I saw in the comments, some people try to ask questions and, chat's going. These guys are trying to run a show. It's tough. Just know we have nothing but love for you guys. This is freaking amazing. Scott went in the other room, but he also concurs. Thank you, DGC. Appreciate you.
Hell yeah.
JR, Cat and Soup.
Hell yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we always try to answer you guys' questions if we can. What was that? But yeah, you can always hit us up with a question on Real DGC too. If you got a question we didn't have time to get to it during the show or something, hit me up. Send me a message over there or post it with a little tag on Soup or something, and we'll talk about it on the show. I love featuring you guys' content. And yeah, keep those dank nugs coming. Keep them questions coming. And yeah, till next week. Keep growing, keep smoking, and have yourself a great weekend.
Yours
See ya.
love.
See you.